I make a lot of videos on how to actually generate business on Upwork because that's what this channel is about. I teach people how to grow businesses and really just document my own journey, and one of the ways is Upwork. But as a result, some of you guys have been calling me a shill, which is kind of understandable. I want to be fully transparent though. Upwork doesn't pay me for anything I teach when it comes to using Upwork as a tool. I wish they did, but I don't make any money on it. So I wanted to make this video to kind of just show you all of the ways that Upwork actually screws you instead of speaking about some of the ways that you can use Upwork to get clients and grow a business. And so this video, I'm going to talk about essentially all the ways that Upwork screws you from a fee and monetization perspective, both on the freelancer side and also on the client side. My name's Gavin. I run an email and SMS marketing agency. I make 2 videos a week, pretty much teaching strategy, documenting my own journey for my business, which I think is super interesting and fun. So check it out, subscribe. Anyway, let's get into it. Quick one, if this video is helpful and you want a complete step-by-step system for landing clients on Upwork, which is a massive source of traffic for me, I have a full program called Land Clients on Upwork. Pretty original. The link is in the description. Check it out if you want to learn how to generate income using Upwork as a major traffic source like I have for my agency. Now, back to the video. So let's talk about the fees for freelancers, and let's start with the main fee that pretty much everybody talks about and gripes about when it comes to Upwork. It's the freelancer service fee. This is essentially what Upwork takes for any work that you deliver to a client. Now, here's the twist. It used to be a flat 10% on every single contract, no matter what, right? Super easy to understand. I work on Upwork, I deliver a project, Upwork takes 10%. Fair. I wouldn't have gotten the client anyway, I'll give them 10%. That changed on May 1st, 2025, and now it's variable, and it can be anywhere from 0 to 15% per contract, and Upwork sets it using an algorithm based on things like how competitive your category is, supply and demand, and a whole bunch of other things that no one actually knows. And this is why it makes so many people mad, because they're not actually able to see inside of Upwork's black box. Now, the good news is you're not guessing. Upwork shows you the exact fee percentage before you submit a proposal or accept an offer, and once the contract starts, the rate is locked in. It won't change halfway through, even if the market conditions shift. It still is a bit tedious, and it's still frustrating not being able to generate a predictable business plan, knowing what your fees are going to be, as they could change one week to the next. All right. Rule of thumb from what freelancers are reporting, as well as myself: common, easy to find skills, general VA work, basic content writing, templated WordPress sites tend to land near the 15% ceiling. Scarcer, more specialized skills like senior engineering, AI, regulated industries often sit closer to 5 to 10%. I've never heard of anybody who's hit that 0%, by the way. I think it's just a marketing thing that maybe they've given 1 or 2 people just to be able to throw that word in there. So Upwork's going to charge you on the front end for the fees, or rather the work that you deliver. Okay, they're going to take a percentage of your contract. Now, connects, that's the next big thing. And I find this business practice a little bit slimy because it turns Upwork into a pay-to-play platform, which means if you can pay to play, you're more likely to win contracts. If you can't, it sucks. Before you even win a contract, you're paying to try, okay? And that's what connects are. Connects are essentially Upwork's currency. Every proposal you submit costs connects, and connects cost 15 cents each, and they're sold in bundles. Now, free accounts get 10 connects a month to start. That's literally nothing, okay? Most jobs, and I'll speak a little bit more about this in a second, are going to cost at a minimum of 9 connects to apply for. And those 9 connect jobs are typically trash. You don't want to apply for them anyway. So by that logic, if you have a free account, you're able to apply for 1 trash job every single month. For context, I'm applying for hundreds of jobs every single month. And here's where it gets interesting. Not every job costs the same number of connects, right? The trash jobs are usually going to be on the lower end. The more competitive, higher value jobs are going to cost more. A standard job, right, can cost you in real dollar terms, when you're calculating how many connects or cents a connect costs, anywhere from like $1 to $3, right? But high value jobs can cost about 40 connects for a single application. That's like $6 to be seen, okay? So if you're applying for 15 to 20 jobs a week and boosting even half of them, all right, you can burn through $30 to $40 to $50 a month in connects before you even earned a single dollar. This is the fee that most new freelancers forget to actually budget for. Yes, Upwork's taking a percentage of how much you make on the contract, but it's also, you have to factor in how much you spent on all the other jobs before you even got that contract, okay? So you're buying connects. That's 2 ways that Upwork screws you. Another way is Freelancer Plus. This is an optional subscription add-on, okay? To offset the connects problem that Upwork created, so I don't really understand why they're trying to offset a problem that they've already created. Well, I do, because they want more money. Upwork sells a subscription called Freelancer Plus. So for $19.99, which is $20 a month, if if you subscribe through the website app or desktop app, it's $20. Fair warning, if you subscribe through the Apple store, Apple takes their cut and it jumps to $27 a month, okay? So just make sure you subscribe on desktop, okay? So what actually is Freelancer Plus, okay? What do you get? When you sign up for Freelancer Plus, straight off the bat, you get somewhere between 80 to 100 connects a month. They're gonna give you those straight off the bat, which is great, but when you consider that some high value jobs can cost 40 connects, that's like $2 to apply for a job, right? That's like 2 jobs, sorry, that you're gonna be able to apply for. The good thing is though, you're gonna get profile visibility boosts. So they're gonna push you up further much in the search results, and you're gonna be able to see competitor bid ranges on job posts. So you can kind of tactfully bid based on how many other people are bidding on jobs. The issue with that is though, is part of the success of you actually getting work on Upwork is how quickly you can bid on jobs. You want to be one of the first people who bids on those jobs, which means you're not gonna see a whole range of other bids because ideally you're one of the first people to bid. And so what that actually means is it puts you at a little bit of a competitive disadvantage if you wanna bid quicker, because it means people who come in later are able to see what you bid on, but you get the competitive advantage of bidding first. So it's like a give and take. A, you bid first and you're probably gonna be seen quicker. You do wanna bid quicker, by the way. B, the downside is people are gonna see the bid range and be able to bid more tactfully. Personally, I think you're in a better place if you bid sooner, even though you have the downside of people being able to see your bids. Now, with Freelancer Plus, there's one more perk that matters a lot if you do plan to grow. Freelancer Plus eliminates direct contract fees, which brings us up to the next one. Now, really quickly, direct contract fees are if you are, and I'll explain this a little bit more depth, but it's basically if you have a client from outside of Upwork and you bring them onto Upwork, they're gonna charge you a fee for the contract that you work on. But if you're on Freelancer Plus, they will waive that fee. Let me give you an example. Let's say you land a client through Upwork, you build a relationship, and eventually you wanna bring an existing client separately onto Upwork, but you just wanna run payments through the platform, all right? That's called a direct contract. So it's different from I found the client on Upwork and they hired me on Upwork to I found the client elsewhere and I want them to pay me on Upwork. That fee, they will waive if you are on Freelancer Plus. So normally that costs you a 5% service fee on a basic account, but if you have an active Freelancer Plus membership, that fee drops to 0. So if you're regularly bringing outside clients onto Upwork, that $20 a month subscription or $19.99 can pay for itself pretty fast. I do also think there is an algorithmic benefit to bringing people from outside of Upwork onto Upwork as a platform. Why? Because Upwork is more likely to A, boost you up in the search results within their platform because they are seeing you as A, trustworthy, and B, somebody who's able to drive business to their platform. It's a give and take. Personally, I haven't found any clients who are like, yeah, let's work through Upwork, Gavin, for your agency. That's kind of weird. But if you're willing to do it with like a friend or something like that, you can benefit quite a bit from the algorithm boosting you a little bit off the back of it. Okay, so those are all the fees of you bidding for jobs and actually doing the work, all right? The client approved it. The money is sitting in your Upwork balance. Now you actually have to get that money into your bank account. And yep, that costs money too, depending on how you withdraw. You can see how Upwork are trying to squeeze revenue from pretty much every single aspect now. Because they're a publicly traded company, they're responsible to shareholders and their responsibility is to maximize profit. And so they're gonna look for every single way that they possibly can use to maximize that profit. And so, yes, they're gonna charge you to withdraw money that you earned on their platform. How does that make you feel? Let me run you through the main options. Okay, so US ACA direct deposit. This is completely free. And if you're in the US, this is your best option. So if you're watching this video and you're in the US, use this method because it's free, okay? Now, if you wanna do it direct to a local bank, for example, I'm in New Zealand, for anyone outside of the US, it's gonna be $1 or 99 cents to withdraw, plus whatever your bank charges to receive. Now, this is still relatively cheap. The reason I think they charge $1 here is not because it actually costs them money to transfer it out of your account. It's because they want you to keep the money in Upwork. The reason they want you to do that is because Upwork is making money off of the interest of all the money they have sitting in their account from all the freelancers who leave money within Upwork. They make money that way. So not only are they making money on the work that you do, you applying for those jobs, you applying for Freelancer Plus, and then you withdrawing money, they're also making money off of the money you leave in Upwork as a platform. Then you also have PayPal as an option, okay? Upwork charges a small transfer fee on their end, but the bigger cost actually is PayPal itself. okay? And this isn't Upwork, but it's PayPal. And then obviously Upwork charges its transaction fee. PayPal itself, and I pay $1 for that, by the way. It's the same, I think, as just local currency or local bank account withdrawals. It's $1 to withdraw it to PayPal. PayPal is going to charge their own transaction fee, which can run between 2.9% and 4.4%, plus a currency conversion markup of another 3 to 4% if you're not in US dollars. So if you withdraw money from Upwork into PayPal and your PayPal account is set to a different currency, they're going to convert that currency for you, but they're going to charge 3.4%, 3 to 4% to convert that currency. And then PayPal can also really eat just in total anywhere between 4 to 6%. So the currency conversion rate, and then PayPal sometimes charges you to withdraw to your own account. Now Upwork also offers Payoneer. Upwork will charge $1 to withdraw to Payoneer, and then Payoneer layers in its own fees and exchange rate margin on top. You also have wire transfers as an option. This is the most expensive option, which can run anywhere between $30 to $50 per transfer. This is only worth it for very large payouts. The final option here is you have instant pay, which is around $2 if you want to withdraw your money immediately instead of waiting. So Upwork forces you to wait for the money to clear before you're able to withdraw it. The reason they do that is the same reason they encourage you to keep money in their account by charging that $1 withdrawal fee. It's because they're making money on the interest for the balance that you leave in Upwork, okay? The takeaway here, your withdrawal method is one of the biggest controllable costs on the whole list of all the fees that they're going to charge you. If you're outside the US and currently using PayPal out of habit, switch to direct local bank. It could save you hundreds of dollars a year, okay? So you can see, they're screwing you. They're screwing you. Now it's the reality of it. It's the reality. They have a monopoly on the freelancer space, and they're able to do this, and they need to do this because they're a publicly traded company. Now, there's another fee, and this is the fee that you really hope you never have to pay. It's the arbitration fee. If a contract goes wrong, for example, a client won't pay you, you disagree about the work, Upwork has a dispute process. Now, the first step is free mediation, but if that doesn't resolve it and the case escalates to bringing arbitration involved, or rather to binding arbitration, this costs $337.50 per side. So in total, it's $675 split between you and the client. So if you have to go up to arbitration, you're gonna have to pay that money, which really sucks. Worth knowing, on a small contract, that math can get pretty ugly really fast. If you're fighting over $75 of unpaid work, spending $337 to potentially win doesn't actually make sense, which is exactly why building fixed milestones and clear scope documents up front really matters before you accept a contract on Upwork. It's a hell of a lot cheaper than a dispute. Now, I wanted to dedicate a little section of things that used to cost money and don't anymore. There's a few myths that I want to bust here, okay? There's no account setup fee. Creating a freelancer profile is completely free. However, to bid on jobs, that's where you need to start paying. So yes, creating an account is free, and yes, you get 10 connects to bid on jobs, but you're still gonna have to pay to actually consistently get work on the platform, all right? Skill certifications. This is a thing that they used to do that they've since gotten rid of. The old exam-based badges were discontinued back in 2024, so there's no exam fees to worry about because the program doesn't actually exist anymore. If you see an online course promising to prep you for an Upwork certification exam that's outdated or a third-party product, it's not something from Upwork itself, so disregard those. Okay, so that's everything that you're gonna pay as a freelancer if you're trying to get work on the platform. Now let's talk about everything that the customer who's hiring freelancers is going to have to pay, all right? Let's go for the first one. Here's the one most clients don't see coming. It's the contract initiation fee, and it's a one-time charge ranging from 99 cents to $14.99 every single time you start a new contract. It doesn't matter if it's a $50 gig or a $5,000 project, you pay it once per contract, and it even applies if you're rehiring a freelancer you've worked with before, okay? New contract, new fee, which is why I recommend people add milestones to their existing project as opposed to creating a new project on Upwork. Now, a few details that people tend to trip up on the client side when it comes to these fees. If you hire 5 freelancers for one job, you're gonna pay this fee 5 times, once per freelancer, even if they all work for the same agency in Upwork. And if a freelancer refunds your payment or you win a dispute, this fee still comes out. It's charged when you fund a fixed price milestone or make your first hourly payment. And once that payment goes through, it's gone, okay? That's just one of the ways that they make money on the other end. Okay, now let's talk about the membership tiers. Upwork also offers a plan called Business Plus aimed at companies that want more structure, dedicated support, invoicing with net 30 terms, that kind of thing. Here's the catch. Joining is free, okay? okay? And I'll make a separate video about what this program actually entails, but your client marketplace fee jumps from 5% average up to 10% or 8% if you're paying by US ACH bank transfers. So Business Plus isn't really a subscription fee in the traditional sense. It's a rate you pay in exchange for premium features. If you're a small business hiring occasionally, Basic is almost always cheaper. Business Plus starts making sense when you need the invoicing and support infrastructure that comes with scaling up a team of contractors. Personally, I wouldn't recommend running this through Upwork. I would just try and build a team outside of Upwork and avoid this fee as it can really stack up. Okay, converting freelancers to formal employment. This one is newer, and it matters if you ever want to bring on a freelancer on a more permanent role, either as a formal employee or a properly compliant independent contractor. That's what any hire is for, and it has its own separate thing. So any hire is what we're talking about right now. For a US-based employee under payroll and benefits, meaning Upwork handles tax filings and benefits like health insurance, you're looking at $199 plus 15.5% of the contract value. That's quite high. So if you have an employee and you want to give them the benefits and you want to run all that through Upwork, you're going to pay $200 plus 15.5% of the contract value. Now, for a US independent contractor arrangement, it's a bit simpler. It's $49 per month per active contract, billed bi-weekly whenever that contractor logs hours. Bottom line, any hire isn't cheap, but it exists because properly employing somebody internationally with correct tax withholding, benefits, and compliance is genuinely expensive to administer. You're paying Upwork to be the employer of record, so you don't have to become one yourself. Now, two more things. Upwork Payroll. This is slightly different from any hire. Upwork Payroll is for W-2 style employment relationships run through a third-party staffing firm that Upwork partners with. The upside here for you as a client is the freelancer pays a 0% service fee in this arrangement, since Upwork's revenue comes from the client side of the deal. So if you're a client, you're really just doing a nice thing for your freelancer. Right? Specifically from the staffing administration fees. And it's going to vary from arrangement to arrangement that you end up getting into. So there's no set fee here. It's going to vary. The final one is enterprise, and this is entirely custom, but if your company is hiring freelancers at scale, think large teams, high spend, ongoing programs, Upwork has an enterprise plan. Pricing here isn't published. It's negotiated directly with Upwork based on your volume and needs. Worth knowing, if you're an enterprise client, freelancers working with you will still typically see close to a 10% service fee on their end, which is different from any hire where it's 0, okay? But because every enterprise contract is customized, the exact terms depend on what is negotiated when your company joined the program. So there you go. Those are all the ways that Upwork screws you and makes money from you. And to be honest, I think it's only gonna get worse as time goes on. As you see Upwork's really share price dip pretty massively because they benefited pretty heavily from, I guess, COVID really and everyone going remote. But that's the reality of it. Guys, those are all the ways. Hopefully that dispels some of the myths here when people call me a shill. I'm not a shill, okay? Hey, I'd love to be, but I'm not. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to the channel. 2 videos every single week, documenting my journey, tips, tricks, strategies, videos like this. We'll see you in the next one.